The X Defiant news is wild. Yep, and I'm glad you said that. That is a perfect segue. And I found something that actually adds to the story too. So for those who missed it, article came out that said, so X Defiant is a first-person shooter being developed and published by Ubisoft. They recently had a beta. Not recently, really like 6 months ago was the last one. Played it on stream. A lot of people surprisingly really love it. They're looking forward to it. It's a free-to-play alternative to Call of Duty. But the game hasn't came out, and they don't have a clear reason why. Some articles came out stating that it hasn't came out because basically Ubisoft doesn't like what the developers are making, and they want it to be more of a Call of Duty clone, so they're breaking the game by adding new features.
Thanks for the follow, buddy. Hopefully you're not as...
The director behind the studio, not the director, but a Ubisoft rep came out and said, oh, that's not true. We don't know. But a new article has come out saying behind X Defiant's toxic work culture crunch and years of delay. We got some tea for y'all, and I got some tea to add on to that tea. But let's see what it's like to live at a quadruple A studio, live and work at a quadruple A studio. Following Insider Gaming's exclusive report this week, it took all but 12 minutes for executive producer Mark Rubin and another yo, they on his ass, yo. So like, Mark Rubin is the one that came out from Ubisoft and said the rumors are not true. We're not trying to change the game. They said that's a disingenuous tweet. To shoot down the rumors, I had to follow just off the stream title. Welcome to the stream, Jim Story. Down to the rumors that X Defiant's delays aren't related to chasing Call of Duty. Nevertheless, Rubin did confirm that the game has yet again been delayed, but its latest delay was because of major technical issues related to the game's netcode, which is an issue that's been outlined since November 2023, which is crazy because I felt like the beta, I feel like they just needed to do some balancing things, add more maps, add more content, but the netcode I felt like was decent. Did y'all play the beta? I just don't believe this is true. Like now all of a sudden they got netcode issues. As previously mentioned, X Defiant has missed dozens of internal milestones and deadlines these past couple years, and although Rubin's latest comments on X Defiant missing its latest release due date to the netcode are accurate, it's not as simple a case of a one and done issue that has plagued the game for years. As Insider Gaming has reported, X Defiant's shortcomings stem from several executives and directors on the project. They are internally referred to as the Boys Club by the majority of the team. Say it ain't so. Ubisoft got a French good old boys club? Gotta take a sip of that. Let's read on. At first, the Boys Club was given the name given to select few individuals who caused constant problems for the game's development, and the term was collectively agreed upon by some members of the team to feel a sense of camaraderie. But a couple of years later, the group grew to a dozen or so, both male and female individuals. Oh shit. Equal fuckery. This is not a male, so the Boys Club is just in reference to the group, but it's men and women on this shit. Okay. Equal fuckery. And its term has evolved into something much more bitter in the studio. The group has been the cause of missed deadlines, crunch, a toxic work environment, and multiple people leaving the project, says sources. Welcome to everybody coming into the stream. We just catching up on the latest Ubisoft fuckery. Yo, shout out to Black Hippie with the sub. I appreciate it.
Why y'all keep gifting subs to the community? It's starting to look a little socialist up in this bitch.
Appreciate you with the gifted subs.
Democrats are giving out more stimulus checks because someone in the chat just got donated a sub.
Shout out to Blaze Quest with the gifted sub.
Chat for resubscribing. It's rough out here. So you a real ass nigga for that, my nigga.
While there isn't an exact date on when the club evolved into something more sinister, yo, it'd be crazy if there were 6 members of the Good Old Boys Club. 3 evil men and 3 evil women. The Sinister Six. So the Ubisoft Sinister Six is fucking crazy. Several sources stated that
I can only afford to donate a single sub. I can only afford to love Sonic, so I totally understand.
Yo, shout out to Black Hippie for gifting the sub. I appreciate it. The Ubisoft 6. Oh my God, here we go. Here we go.
Thank you for gifting these subs. Your money is important as it funds programs that help at-risk inner-city youths like that gun-toting savage.
Damn, NetEase and Ubisoft Sinister. Yeah, shout out to Black Hippie getting all them subs. He going crazy. MVP of the stream already. He said these quips is funny. My quips is regular. While there isn't an exact date on when the club evolved into something more sinister, several sources stated that the change became the most apparent around the time when the Tom Clancy brand was dropped, publicly announced early 2022. Damn, so they've been sinister for the last 2 years.
Why do people resubscribe to the idea of Shadow having...
Yo, shout out to Trippin' with the sub.
Only Sonic wields that type of power.
Before the decision, the game was intended to be released on holiday 2021 without any significant issues that plague the game today. The change meant more freedom for the project, allowing the boys club to make unnecessary changes, which has had a domino effect on the progress of the game. Despite the warnings from the team, it's currently added over 2 years to the game's development. Holy shit. What up, Stormy? So basically, the game is done. These niggas is just like the boys club, whoever these people are just burning through the if this is true, it sounds like they're just fucking with the developers, just burning through money, just doing shit, bro, just being assholes. Shout out to Junesy with the sub. I appreciate it.
Sort of like when Rouge the Bat throws it back.
Despite the warnings from the team, it's currently added over 2 years to the game's development. Eventually, things got so bad that X-Defiant's toxic work culture, crunch, and internal problems became so prevalent that knowledge of the boys even spread to other studios at Ubisoft. Say it ain't so. So which Ubisoft studio is this? Is this Montreal, Paris, Toronto? I think they have an American one. I know they got a Shanghai one. I know they got the Singapore one. That's the Skull and Bones team. They're in depth too. Holy shit. So the rumors are spreading throughout the company. The issues with the boys club isn't that its managers or directors are telling developers what to do. After all, that's their job. But it's the lack of work ethic, unpleasant behavior, and egos from the individuals that have created a really unhealthy place to work, said sources. So basically, they're just walking around spitting in people's faces, just being rude, not really managing anything. One member has no design. You know what's funny? It's making me think this is why I can't get a Ubisoft code these days. There's something sinister. Like the Ubisoft that I knew when I first was a content creator that used to invite me to events. Those people are not there anymore. There's some sinister people here because, like I told y'all, when it came to the codes for, I applied for the Ubisoft content creator program. I got denied. Now Ethos got into it. I think Siggy's in it. And I seen a bunch of smaller creators that I follow. All people who are like, which, you know what? I'm happy for them. Don't take it as like I'm hating. Just a little weird. Just a little weird that people who have a significantly smaller audience than me,
of every bit of the Master Emerald that fits up my ass,
a smaller audience than me, all got into the new content creator program for Ubisoft. I didn't think much of it until we got an email where my agent sent an email to some Ubisoft reps asking for early codes for what's the Killmonger game? The new Prince of Ethiopia. We were asking for codes for the Prince of Ethiopia for early access so we could talk about it on the podcast. These noties are insane. They're real. For some reason in the email, it said specifically Ethos and JG can have codes. And that's it. I was like, oh. So I got denied into the content creator program, and then they specifically said only Ethos and JG had codes.
Thanks for the gifted subs, my nigga. I can say that because I'm black, even if you don't agree what you gonna do about it, nigga.
Shout out to Black Hippie with the sub, the gifted subs. I said, oh. I said, that's all the proof I need. I think we're blackballed. It's all good. We let Ethos and JG have the codes because we're not going to block anybody's shine, but I do think that's funny. And then this article is coming out. He said the context of why I'm making fun of him on the pod. Yeah, this is... Have you seen this article, Jay? Apparently, there's a good old boys club at Ubisoft, and I was like, yeah, I think there was a changing of the guard at the company because, like, I've been to Ubisoft events where I've said to their face, you need to work on X, Y, and they never took it personal. It was like, yeah, we could see this, that, and the third. Apparently, there's a good old boys club at the company, and they're creating a toxic work culture. I'm like, let's read on. Let's start back here. The issue with the boys club isn't that the managers or directors are telling developers what to do. After all, that's their job, but it's the lack of work ethic, unpleasant behavior, and the egos from these individuals that have created a really unhealthy place to work, said sources. It makes me think somebody from the boys club has probably seen one of my videos and got butthurt. One member has no design experience or people experience and has been given directorial powers because of personal friendships. Nepotism. said one source. It means that developers are left with responsibilities beyond their original job descriptions, told to work tedious hours of overtime to complete tasks, and are often shrugged aside when suggestions don't align with the views of the higher-ups. Ubisoft is already under fire for the Me Too movement. Looks like I just seen a TikTok today that said the biggest theft. Like this person went around asking what's the biggest theft form of theft in the United States, and people were like, "Oh, probably scamming, this, that, and the third." And she was like, "No, it's wage theft." I wonder if they're getting paid for the overtime. I hope they are. It means that although this is a European country, company, who knows? And often shrugged aside. There have been many instances where people have cried, had mental breakdowns, or stopped caring about their well-being because of the toxic environment fostered by the club, it was said. The Boys Club is a closed group of protected individuals who think they're better than everyone else and do as they please without any repercussions, said one developer working on the project. One member has a history of treating people extremely badly with more HR reports than I've ever seen. I frequently was told the following by management. What do you know? You have never shipped a game before. If you want to make it to where I'm at, then you need to go to XYZ thing, said a former developer who has since left Ubisoft altogether because of how they were treated. I've heard that it's pretty bad over there, but it's bad everywhere at Ubisoft, to be honest, said another developer working at another. God damn. As of 2023, when the X-Defiant team is going to get worse, I want y'all to stick because I just want to read this. I did not read this article. We're going to read this all, and I'm going to show you what I found too while I was walking my dog. As of late 2023, the X-Defiant team has been facing a huge hurdle with the game's netcode. As Mark Rubin has already outlined, the game has significant issues and needed fixing. Ironically, though, this has been a known issue for years, said people working on the project, and could have been avoided if leadership had listened to the rest of the team. But as the suggestions didn't come from within the bubble, or should we say the club, the advice was always ignored. So if it's not the good old boys who made the suggestion, the game ain't getting fixed. There have been countless occasions where different teams would advise the boys club about making certain choices and decisions within months or years of notice in order to avoid issues down the road, said one developer when asked about the game's netcode. Insider Gaming understands that the game's netcode is still a significant issue for the project, and the team has recently been struggling to reach the internal goal of 100 players per server. Holy shit. A goal desired to support the expected hundreds of thousands of players that will play the game on launch. It's one of the major reasons for the game's past weekend's closed playtest, which saw the testing of the netcode, social features, battle pass, and store. I didn't know there was a test going on. During the weekend test, players who played the game and spoke to Insider Gaming, niggas is snitching, to Insider Gaming said the netcode still wasn't great. Hit registration was described as being terrible. The game got worse, or off by some resources, with bullets not registering, going around corners. However, from the 5 playtesters we spoke to, the good news is that there weren't as many game crashes. How did they fucking make this game worse? It's understood the netcode issue originated from significant changes brought on by the Boys Club after the Tom Clancy's name was dropped. The simple case of just dropping the name based on fan feedback resulted in a frenzy to add new factions, maps, and other features that added to be built from scratch. Which, shout out to them for listening, because I agree that Tom Clancy's name shouldn't have been in it. Internal feedback was ignored, and corners were cut by reusing assets, resulting in huge technical issues that could have been avoided. Mark Rubin has said he will update the game's status in the coming week, but Insider Gaming understands that the game is currently undergoing as many internal playtests as possible. Chasing. God damn, this article keeps going. This is a whole exposed article. In a previous report, we reported that X-Defiant's delays have stemmed from the never-ending pursuit of chasing Call of Duty, which has resulted in developers becoming increasingly frustrated with the project's lack of progress. Yes, we've been over this. They keep adding shit to the developers. It's the classic case of the suits want this, but the developers are trying to make this that appeases. It sounds like they're trying to make something that's for the fans, but the suits are not having it. While there's no question that a new first-person shooter should take inspiration from other popular titles on the market, sources who spoke to Insider Gaming said that it became evident really quickly that Call of Duty was the only title that leadership was interested in. Sources said that almost every very creative decision for the best part of the 2 years quickly ended with the same rhetorical question: what would Call of Duty do? This is crazy because did y'all play? It's like, yo, Ubisoft, did y'all play Modern Warfare 3? Why do you want to be like that? That game fucking sucks. This is the best time not to be like Call of Duty. As Mark Rubin said in previous, that's his tweet, we know, blah, blah, blah. All right, where's X-Defiant now? As outlined in a previous report, XDefiant is not currently canceled following the insanely popular open test. Ubisoft has some expectations the game could be a free-to-play hit that they've been looking for a number of years. You know, it's crazy because they did just cancel 11 games last year. If that beta test was not as popular as it was last year, I feel like this game would have got the axe. It would have been number 12. They almost have to put it out because they know they're going to catch a lot of heat. That's why the internal goal right now is to set the game out the door, but it's unclear how long it will take to fix the game's current issues. It's insane how everyone is still following COD as the blueprint. It's time to innovate. What up, Beans? Internally, some developers believe the seasonal content targets will almost certainly be missed due to ongoing issues, lack of resources, and just staff wanting the XD Sega to be over so they can move on to other projects. I guess they just want the development, it'll be over. At the time of this writing, there's no release date for XDefiant, and Insider Gaming understands the past generation consoles for PS4 and Xbox One got canceled. Good. Upgrade. All right, so we're going to dial it back, and we're going to go back to the mistreatment and the good old boys. If you're just coming into the stream, there's a new exposed article on Insider Gaming, basically exposing why XDefiant has not come out, stating that there's a good old boys club. But the plot twist in the article, if you read it, is the good old boys club inside of Ubisoft consists of men and women. It's equal fuckery. And they're basically not listening to developers, overworking people, spitting in people's faces. Now, I was going to talk about this on stream because I saw this like this morning, I think. I saw this article. Right before I started streaming, I walked my dog. That's what I always do, make sure he's good. That way I can stream at least a few hours without having any issues. I was scrolling on Twitter while he was taking a shit. Shout out to the For You page because I saw this on the For You page. I said, ooh. So we're going to add something to the article. This comes from Lizette, who is a former Ubisoft employee. She was responding to this exposed article and she said, "This is why I left Ubisoft San Francisco." So it's true. It's not just plaguing one studio, it's plaguing them all. The boys clubs are known as known abusers, domestic abuse included. I was verbally insulted constantly, called a stupid bitch in front of the team. The hard R was written on a whiteboard at a meeting I attended. What the Bullying was a common practice, as was crunch. I was regularly and purposely excluded from leadership meetings and decisions that affected my team and processes. This kind of behavior was so prevalent, several other people on the team had mental breakdowns during their tenure there. Even if I wanted to complain to HR, I couldn't. My boss was sleeping with the woman who ran HR for the studio. The tea is hot today. I have friends who have experienced the same culture at other Ubisoft studios worldwide, starting with the Paris editorial board, whose abuse is also well documented. That's in reference to what JG's talking about, the Me Too shit going on in their company. Same stories from Montreal and the Philippines studio. Shit keeps rolling downhill with no accountability. Shout out to Lizette for coming out and speaking your truth. She's the art director for Psychonauts. Shout out to her. I love Psychonauts too. Shout out to her. Talented. And shout out to you for speaking up too. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of disgusting. It almost makes me not want to play XDefiant if it ever does come out. Like why are you writing the hard R on her whiteboard? What is the purpose of that? And you know the crazy part is, they probably hide behind, oh, it's just a prank, like we're not actually racist. And it's funny because they might not actually be racist. It might in their head be a prank to them. It's not fucking funny, bro. Remember, guys, jokes are supposed to be funny. Nobody wants to, especially in this job market, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to get a job. Then it's hard to get up out of bed, go to work at 9 to 5, and then I gotta go. I don't care who you are. I'm not gonna lie, if I saw that on the whiteboard, I might crash out. Like, she better than me. I might, who wrote this shit? Like, oh, we're gonna have an all hands on meeting. Who wrote this shit on the board? That's what type of time we are? Fuck this place, bro. And then, yo, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, Lizette, if I could give you some advice, you might want to lawyer up. I'm not gonna lie. These are some bold claims. Cause you claimed that, keep in mind, this is all alleged. This is all, you know, their word versus their word. But she said that The boss is sleeping with the head of HR too. You might want to lawyer up. You saying some crazy shit. And I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying to protect yourself, just in case. You might want to lawyer up. You saying some crazy shit. Says scare tactics are very prevalent in corporate. People think that working in video games is another type of occupation, but it's all the same. Oh yeah, shit, I told my story about fucking G4. When I had to check I don't know what's the name of the word. I don't know what her job title was. She got fired anyway, but this is before even the claps that came. I had to check somebody at G4 about that shit for talking to me crazy. I think I told this story one time, but it was there was a lady. She was basically in charge of handling all the all the host. If you weren't on set recording a show, you were either in your dressing room. We had our own desk space. You might be somewhere else in the studio reading a book. You could do whatever you wanted until it was your time to record. It was her job to wrangle up the staff when needed, basically. The host when needed. You said it was popping. Fucking this chick. She when I was working at G4, I did anything. I was a team player. If they needed a TikTok, I did it. It's not a part of my contract. I didn't have to do that shit. Oh, you need me on this show? I did it. That's not a part of my contract. I was contracted to do this. But I was a team player. I understood that, you know, this was a new network under a budget. I was just trying to make shit happen, bruh. I remember one day I shot 5 videos in one day. 5 videos in one day. I was mentally exhausted at the end of that day. And I remember I was walking down the stairs getting ready to go to my car to check out because my 9 to 5, my time was up, right? She was like, oh, are you coming to the team meeting tonight? There was like a team dinner with all the hosts that was going to be there, and the president of G4 was going to be there. And she really wanted to meet me because she was embarrassed, by the way. And let me tell you why she was embarrassed. The day before, let's dial the whole story. We're doing a whole expose because we're doing it. The day before, this is how I met the president of G4. I was walking from my desk. I don't know what I was doing. And I had to go use the bathroom. And the president, she had just came on board. And she stops me and she says, keep in mind, you know, there's not a lot of black people there. She's like, oh, who are that? She's like, who are you? I said, oh,
follow you.
Yo, shout out to Pseudo with the sub. Appreciate it. I said, oh, my name's Corey. I was like, she's like, what do you do here? I think she thought I was like a janitor or something. I said, I'm one of the hosts. She's like, oh. So like the handler, the lady that was in charge of all the hosts, she told me that the president was embarrassed. She didn't know who I was. Now remember when I told y'all that the downfall of G4 had nothing to do with Frost and it was all about the mismanagement? This is how stupid the suits were. This is to give you an example, kind of tying into the Ubisoft shit. This is how stupid some of these corporate people were. They were paying me a lot of money. Keep in mind, I live in LA. The president of G4 didn't even know I was a host. Keep in mind, I was the only black man. So this is an example of the poor management, right? So she was embarrassed. That happened the day before. So dial it back to the original part of the story. I had shot 5 videos the next day. I was tired. I'm getting ready to go home. Now, in the email that they sent out, they said, is the team, she said that in the team email, it said that it wasn't mandatory to go to the team meeting, the team dinner, but she really wanted me to go. She's like, even though it wasn't mandatory, she really wanted me to go because the president was embarrassed. And I'm like, that sounds like her problem. She should have known who I was. You can't work for a company and not know your employees, especially the faces of the company, right? So then the lady that was in charge of handling all the hosts, she says, yeah, well, she's like, I don't like that you're not showing up. She's like, you're not a team player. Now, keep in mind, and she said it really passive aggressively. Keep in mind, I had shot 5 videos that day. And I think I did a couple TikToks. I was tired. I was like, it's very hard to make me mad. I was pissed at, like, I could feel the heat coming off my ears. I was fucking pissed. I remember I sat in the studio parking lot for like 15 minutes, ready to fucking just spaz on this bitch, bro. But I was like, you know what? It's corporate. Let me be cool. We just launched. Let me be cool. I said, you know what? I'm finna go to the team dinner. I sucked it up. I went to the team dinner. I was mad the whole time I was sitting there. Yeah, I was ready to crash out. Yeah, I had to cool off first. Like, you ever sat in the driveway of your house or like in the parking lot, like just hitting the fucking horn on your car and shit? I had to cool off. I said, let me be a team player. Let me go. I go to the team dinner. I sit there and they sit me right next to the president. That's the reason why she wasn't just embarrassed that she didn't know who I was. She wanted to get to know me. So they purposely sat her next to me. I'm giving one word answers the entire night. I'm so fucking pissed. Like, you ever been so mad, like you can feel your jaw clenching? Like, I was fucking pissed. I was just giving one word answers, and I knew how I came across. I didn't give a fuck at that time, bro. Long story short, and I'm gonna end this story. This is how we're gonna tie it into toxic corporate work culture. The end of the story and the grand finale is, at the team dinner, the president stands up. She hits the glass, ding, 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 and she says, I want everybody to go around and stand up, and I want you to share something about yourselves. I want you to specifically share what is your superpower, right? Everybody stands up. They share their superpower, all the different hosts and shit. We're all getting to know each other. Keep in mind, we had just met. It gets to me. I'm the last person. I stand up. I've been quiet the whole night. I stand up and I said, verbatim, I said, hi, my name's Corey. I go by the Black Hokage. And I said, my superpower is, and I looked, so to the right of she was at the very end of the table, the handler of all the hosts. I looked to the right and I said, despite what some people say, I am a team player. And I sat back down, and everybody, it was one of those things, everybody in the room knew I was sending a message, but nobody knew who I was talking to. So long story short, I sit down. Maybe like 5 minutes later, I get up to go to after I eat, I get up and go to the bathroom. The handler comes to me. She's like, you can go home. You can go. She was like panicking. She was worried about losing her job. She was like, classy. Yeah, I took a shot without, come on, bro. I'm the general. I know how to shoot without having being extra. I sent the message very loud and clear to her. So yeah, she was like, you can go home. Don't worry about it. I'm off the subs today, right? So here's another funny part to this story. Maybe like 6 months into like G4, I remember talking. This is when me and what's his name? Golden Boy, we had become really close. We were talking and I told him the story that I'm telling y'all. And he was like, oh shit. I ain't gonna say the lady's name. He's like, he was telling me all the hosts thought I hated all of them at that moment at the table. I was like, no, I wasn't talking to y'all. I was like, I don't know y'all. I was like, I don't beef with people that I don't know. Y'all never disrespected me. I was like, I got love for everybody here. He's like, yeah, we thought you hated us for some reason. I was like, no, I was talking about X, Y, and Z. And he was like, no, that makes sense. He's like, yo, we got to start talking more to each other. He's like, apparently everybody hated this later. So then he was showing me stories of like all the things she had did to other hosts too. Apparently she was violating people. So she ended up getting fired. So it wasn't just me. But long story short, I had to check her again too. It was funny. You don't have to, you can send these corporate people, they be trying you. And here's the thing. They be trying you. And if you don't stand up for yourself, they're going to keep doing that shit. But there's a way to go about it where you can do it without losing your job. And that's how I did it. I did it very tactfully. So long story short, I'm ending like this. The launch of G4 happens. Keep in mind, this is before the launch of G4. I had just moved to LA. You said you gonna tell that story.
Why do people resupport
Yo, shout out to
the idea of Shadow having a BBC?
Yo, shout out to Modern.
Sonic wields that type of power.
Shout out to Modern Kari with the sub. I appreciate you. So the launch of G4 happens. We had like 30,000 concurrent viewers in the stream. And like everybody in the building is crying. Everybody's happy. It was a successful launch. It was a good energy in the air. I was still upset, but I was like, you know, everybody's hugging and celebrating this shit. I was like, I'm not gonna. The handler lady, she had been tiptoeing around me for like the next week after that situation, and she didn't talk to me. She wouldn't look at me because like one thing I know about me, like I have like an energy, don't fucking play with me type of energy. She had been tiptoeing around me after the launch, and everybody was like happy. I pulled her to the side and I said, "Let me speak to you," and she was like, before I could even get a word out, she said, "I just want you to know I'm sorry." I was like, I accept your apology, but I was like, let's get something straight. I was like, as long as we have a working relationship, I said, don't you ever fucking speak to me like that again. I said, you will respect me as a man before anything else, because I was like, I never did nothing to you. I said, you watch your tone when you speak to me. That was the end of the conversation. She said, I understand. I'm sorry. Did you say, oh yeah, I said it like that? Absolutely. You're not gonna talk. Because here's the thing. And here's what I used to always say. I didn't need G4. Anybody who's been in here before that shit popped off, my stream was G4 fucked me over. We was averaging 1,500, 2,000 concurrent viewers. We was going crazy. And I used to tell them all the time, I was like, I don't need to be here. I was like, I'm here because I wanted to be and I wanted to help, and I used to love this shit when I was a kid. And it was something different. You said, yeah, I was going dumb. I stopped my own momentum to try to do something different, hoping that it would lead to something else. So yeah, I would tell them all the time. I used to be in the makeup room. I would tell that chick to handle. I was like, I don't got to be here. Who are you talking to? That's why I be trying to tell y'all, work on yourselves so you can have that fuck you money. So you could tell people, don't fucking speak. I'll leave this bitch, bro. Anyways, I tell that story to tie it into this Ubisoft story. This is all for all the people on YouTube. You don't do black eye tells. Here's a black eye tell right here. Black eye tells, black eye tells. There you go. Now it's one. I don't know this woman, but when she's talking about this corporate culture going on at Ubisoft and all this bullshit, I tend to lean towards, I probably believe it's true. Because it's true. I've had my own personal, and I'm pretty sure other people in the chat have had really bad corporate stories. A lot of fuck niggas, bruh, that be in ties. You're not gonna talk to me like that, bruh. As I said, that's why I've been going so hard more than ever. Like, if anything, people feel like, oh, is it bad? Like, what happened with the go woke, go broke people with the fraud shit? Them niggas was never watching me anyway, so I don't give a fuck what they have to say anyway. But what I will say is, after I got myself together, I kind of took a break after the shit collapsed, and I was just kind of coasting. That's why I've been going harder than ever, because it inspired me. I was like, you know what I took away from that shit? I was like, yeah, I knew I liked being independent, but now I really know. And I don't want to take any more gigs that's going to take a lot of time away from me being independent. It has to be like part-time, like some commercials, or some type of part-time hosting shit, all this other stuff. Because I was like, yo, this corporate shit, I was like, it's not for me. I just don't have I cannot deal with the fuckery, bro. So I believe this shit. Ubisoft. If I wasn't blackballed, I am now by Ubisoft, but I think I already was, so I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna still slander you niggas. I can see your passion and respect. I respect it. There you go. I gave y'all a good story. I'm off the subs, bro. I'm off the steps. I can talk about it now because the shit collapsed. Who gives a fuck? But that's why I always say, and that's why, because I see some people saying I hope Frosk is okay. That's why I always defend her. She never said nothing bad about me. She always defended me. And also, like, I know what really happened on the inside. Other hosts, they don't really talk about it too much. Like, I just gave you one story. I'm telling you, it was not her. It was the management. They didn't know what the fuck they was doing. I'm not gonna lie, when you joined, I was kind of sad because I thought I was gonna be. Especially because they expect us code switching. Like, I got a story. I remember my agent told me, he was like, yo, if you tell that shit, that's a potential lawsuit. Something involving Black History Month. I got some real crazy stories. I ain't gonna tell that one. I ain't in the mood for that shit. Bro. I've already said enough. This is the type of shit when, like, after the collapse happened, niggas was, yo, niggas, can we get an interview? No, if I have something to say, I'll say it on my own platform.
Chat just triggers my troll.
Yo, shout out to Hey Man Gramps with the sub. Appreciate it.
Shard that went up my ass.
This is why I don't do interviews. If I have something to say, I'll say it on my own platform. Because let me tell you something. And I think I seen X Mirror tweet about it yesterday. There's some whole drama going on with, like, you know, the woke crowd, the go woke, go broke crowd. They're going after Black girl gamers and any group that's about helping marginalized people. She was just talking about, and I say this shit on my stream all the time. These niggas don't give a fuck what our black asses is doing until something negative goes on, or what they perceive to be negative. Then you want to cover us, unless your name is Kai Cenat. Unless you're part of, like, that 1% of, like, Black creators. These websites like Dextero and all this other shit, they act like we don't exist. And I seen her tweet about that shit. I like that shit because I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I be talking about. Get off our dicks, bro. Don't come over here. Don't come over here, bro. You said, yup, Angel Reese. That crowd just bored. Them niggas is, I'm not gonna lie, it's like a whole race war going on Twitter. What's going on, bro? This shit is weird. Niggas is bored. Go play. Do y'all play games or y'all just be mad about shit? Yo, shout out to Black Hippie with the Get the Subs. I appreciate it. Shout out to the 500 people we got in here. It's a little odd. It's getting really weird. It went from, like, slight complaining to, like, it's like all out race war on Twitter. I'm like, you niggas, y'all know Dragon's Dogma 2 is out? It's funny because I felt like there was no interesting news today. That turned out being, that could be a whole video in itself. That turned out being really good. Just engagement fishing, pretty much. They always try to make us diversity hires, use us to prop up as an agenda. Pretty much. It be like that. They are mad that the mayor of Baltimore is Black. Yeah, that shit is weird. What else I got for y'all, man? They be rebanning bullshit every year from the woke to CT. It's always the news. Yo, isn't it crazy we've reached a point where, like, remember when SJW was like the original go woke, go broke. Now it's the woke shit. You said any good things happen at G4? Yeah, I met people that, like, I can network with till this day. Like including like I met the head of Twitter Gaming. I got to interview him, right? He was the head of Twitter Gaming. Now he's one of the head engineers at Twitter since Elon took over. And anytime there's like some new features coming or like I have questions, he always answers me. Like I got to meet some industry people. Like the good side of working on the industry side of things is it gives you access. It doesn't matter how much clout you have. I have a phrase, there's clout and then there's perceived clout. You can have clout, but if nobody's heard of you, if they haven't heard of you because they're not on that side of the internet, it doesn't matter. When you have that perceived clout, people will fuck with you just because of it. Yo, shout out to Big Mop with the sub, appreciate it. So like being a part of G4 gave me the perceived clout, basically, that I was somebody, even though I was somebody before, which gave me access to speak to certain types of people. You see what I'm saying? So does that mean JG's new podcast intro is JGI's DIE? Yeah, that's the Newts frame DIE. Shout out to the 600 we already got up in here early. More positive news. Sega of America's workers have ratified their union contract. Employees are overwhelmingly voted for the measure last year. Workers at Sega of America, a division of Sega, have officially ratified their union contract. This makes it one of the first major North American video game companies to take this step, which could bode well for future organized labor pushes in the industry. This is actually a perfect story that ties into the Ubisoft shit, right? The contract was ratified after workers overwhelmingly voted to unionize this last year. It covers around 150 people working in various departments throughout the company, including branding, marketing, games as a service, localization, sales, and quality assurance. The union is called the Allied Employees Guild Improving Sega, and it organizes with the Communications Workers of America. I'm not gonna lie, I had to pause to hear the G4 story. I'm a good storyteller. I'm very good at what I do. There's already some provisions in place for workers as part of the I have a story that, like, I don't know, I might save it for the book. I don't even know if I think I told the GI dudes. It's so like it's an unbelievable story, bro. That pertains to like the downfall of like G-Fault. It's so good. I might have to save it for the book. Of just me being a real ass nigga, man. There are already some provisions that, no, I can't tell. I'm not gonna tell that shit. I gotta put it in the book, bro. Because what's the name? I feel like somebody might clip it and take it out of fucking context. And plus, it's that good. It's that good of a story. You said, Jesus, you were only there for a year. Yeah, but it felt like a lot longer because they was working us to death. Like, I don't think there was a reason why I wasn't streaming. I think I was streaming like once every 2 weeks. I was just always tired. I remember, like even my girl, she'd bring it up sometimes. She's like, yeah, I remember when like we first started dating. She's like, yeah, you were always just like fucking exhausted. Barely could like hang out. He said, I can't wait to read the book. Chapter 8. No, chapter 4, G4. There are already some provisions in place for workers as part of the contract, including a minimum pay increase of 4% in 2024. That's what we like to hear. 3% 2025 and then 2.5 in 2026. There are layoff protections, codified benefits like health insurance. They weren't getting health insurance? A severance inclusion and commitment to credits to all workers on the game. That's what we like to hear. Ubisoft need to do some shit like that if they don't already have it. You be Elden Ring during all that too. I know, right? The 16-hour stream. You said 3 to 4% is barely inflation. Hey, but listen, Cammy, that's better than apparently they weren't getting it before. The only thing that concerns me about these pay increases is, you gotta keep in mind, we're talking about Sega. Outside of JG buying Yakuza games every year, what else is selling at Sega? Because they're fucking... Does Sonic sell? Last I checked, Sonic All-Stars did not sell well. What else games do they got? Persona. Oh, they got Persona. Does that sell well? I know people love it, but does it sell well? Let's look this up. Persona 5 sales, because there's a difference. I feel like a lot of times people, it sells like 7.2 million as of April 20. That's good. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so they got Persona, and then you should do story times on TikTok. I don't feel like I gotta be like in a certain mood to tell about stories. Like today, I'm okay, like I'm being like open book, but like there's other days where just like I don't feel like sharing. That's why you gotta be in the right place at the right time. Yeah, no, I'm private. The only reason I shared that G4 story is because it pertains to kind of the Ubisoft shit. It kind of came naturally. Like, oh yeah, I got my own corporate stories. Like, so I was like, I believe what she's talking about being harassed. All the dumb shit. Yeah, this is good though. Shout out to Sega. We need to see more companies doing this shit.